Hey there, it's Mark, and welcome to the Mr. Productivity Podcast, the podcast that helps you banish overwhelm, reduce stress, and get more done. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about how to crush it in 2023 and beyond. But before we dive into today's show, I want to remind you I have a free gift for you. It's called the 10 Quick Ways to Conquer Overwhelm, and it's a free download available at MrProductivity.com. Go get the guide because it could really help you, especially in this time of year. MrProductivity.com. Now, as they say in Hollywood, on with the show. So I really want you to crush it in 2023 and beyond. And it's not that difficult to crush it. And so on the show today, I've got some simple ideas for you to do that. Now, here's the thing. You are going to have to put in some work. Just listening to a podcast, watching a video, reading a book, attending a webinar, that's all great. But you've got to take what you learn and implement it. So the first idea I have for you is going to seem like that's a crazy idea, Mark, but bear with me. Bear with me because it is crucial for you to crushing it in 2023. Are you ready for this? You have to choose that you are going to crush it in 2023. Now, you may be saying to yourself, I don't get it. If you are not committed, if you don't believe that you will crush it in 2023, then you are relying on hope. Hope as a strategy to crush it in 2023. I don't recommend hope. Hope is not a strategy. So I literally want you to commit to yourself and to the world that you are going to crush it in 2023. Here's how you crush it to the world. You let the world know. There's this thing called social media. Perhaps you've heard of it. I want you to record a video. I don't care what social media platform you use it on. I want you to tell the world, hi, fill in your name. I want you to know that I am fully committed to crushing it in 2023. Here is what I'm going to do. Even if no one watches that video, the point that you did it proves to yourself that you are serious about crushing it in 2023 and beyond. Now, the next thing you have to do is you have to set yourself up for success. Just because you told the world you're going to crush it next year doesn't mean you're going to do it unless you put in the work. Now, the first thing I want you to do is ditch those habits that are not serving you. Now, I did an episode of the podcast a couple weeks ago called 7 Destructive Habits to Ditch in 2023. I'll put that link in the show notes. Go listen to it because these are 7 habits that if you want to crush it in 2023, you're going to have to not eliminate, certainly reduce in order to be successful in the new year. And then I want you to create or modify your morning routine that works for you. Now, if you don't have a morning routine, well, you're going to have to build it from the ground up. If you have a morning routine and you go, this is not serving me, well, I want you to do some research. I want you to spend some time and think about what could be a morning routine that works for you. My morning routine probably won't work for you unless you're an empty nester and have a 50-pound lab mix. Now, if you have kids, if you have your in-laws, you have a different family dynamic, it's not going to work for you. Mine is very established. So I could bore you and share you mine, but if you can't relate, it would be a waste of your time. So I'm not going to do that. You can certainly reach out to me and ask me what my morning routine is, but I want you to create a morning routine that gets your day off on the right foot, on your terms. So what you do is you spend some time in silence, not on your phone, not with the TV blaring. Maybe you go to a local park or go outside in your backyard and you just sit down and go, okay, what is a morning routine I could create that would serve me so I can serve others throughout the day? Now, you're going to have to tweak it. Even if you have an established routine that you're tweaking, you're still going to have to change this, change that. That didn't work. I do this all the time. There is no such thing as a perfect morning routine, despite what the many experts say. Okay. Next, I want you to commit to limiting your time you spend mindlessly and endlessly scrolling on social media and watching the news and spending time with those people in your lives who are not where you want to go. So let me unpack this for you. Now, social media is not your friend. They want you to waste hours and hours and hours of your time scrolling. I want you to limit social media to 30 minutes a day. I know I can hear you right now, all the way from wherever you are in the future. And you're going 30 minutes a day. Let me ask you, how much time are you spending mindlessly and endlessly scrolling on social media now? Be honest. Think about it. How long are you spending scrolling social media? I bet it's a lot of time. I bet it's a ton of time when you could be doing something else. Not saying get off of social media. I'm saying really scale back how much time you're spending there. Because if you look at the most successful people in the world, globally, they don't spend a lot of time consuming social media. They use social media, but they don't spend time consuming it. Next, the news. Some people say, don't ever watch the news. I'm not in this camp. I have a saying that I think you should stay informed, but not be obsessed. So you should know what's going on in the world, but you shouldn't know everything about that topic. So I have a couple trusted news sources, and I can check into my news for about 5 minutes a day, just so I know what's going on. They don't obsess over it. Don't have the news stations on in the background, but know what's going on in your world. And finally, the people. You have family and you have friends and you have colleagues that maybe you have to spend time with, maybe not so much friends, but colleagues and family. And they may be Eeyores, if you're familiar with Winnie the Pooh. They may be Eeyores, but listen to me carefully, all right? You need to look at the people you're spending the most time with and say to yourself, are these people where I want to be? And if the answer is no, I'm not saying you don't spend any time with them. I'm saying you really reduce the amount of time you spend with them. You want to spend time with people who are where you want to go. Hope that makes sense to you. Next, I want you to take better care of yourself. Physically, I want you to exercise every day. Now, I'm a daily runner. I've run at least 1 mile every day since August 29, 2017. But you don't have to run. You can go for a brisk walk. You can go on your treadmill. You can put your headphones on and dance around the house. You can lift weights. You can go swimming. But I want you to exercise every day. Get that heart rate up. Break out into a mild sweat. Now, a little note here. If you haven't done this in a very long time, please go see your doctor first. Then I want you to take better care of yourself mentally. Practice meditation or just being quiet. And on the other end of that extreme, well, I don't want to call it an extreme. On the other end of that equation, I want you to spend time laughing. So I love stand-up comedy, especially clean comedy. And Netflix had 3 really funny shows on. Well, not did. They are still running at the time of this podcast. One is Gabriel Iglesias, Mr. Fluffy. He's got a 2-hour show it's called Stadium Fluffy. He sold out Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. Hysterical. The other one I listened to or watched is Tom Papa, and it's called You're Doing Great. Very funny. And the other guy, I'm going to mess up his last name, Sebastian Maniscalco. I believe that's it. He is known as a physical comedian, so he uses a lot of body language and facial expressions. He's got a show called Is It Me? If you want to laugh, and you want to laugh so hard that you maybe pee yourself a little bit and you have tears in your eyes, go check out those 3 shows on Netflix. Even if you have to get Netflix for a month, it's worth watching the show. Next, I want you to set yourself goals that stretch yourself. So think of your goals you have right now. I don't do New Year's resolutions. I do goals. And I want you to stretch yourself. All right? I don't know what that looks like for you, but the growth will happen when you stretch yourself. I love what Steve Harvey says, he's got this quote that says, in order to be successful, you have got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I love that. You have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. If you want to succeed, if you want to crush 2023 and beyond, you're going to have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And part of that is creating for yourself stretch goals, goals that really make you work hard. And again, what I said earlier, I really want you to do social accountability. Create a video and say, here are some of the goals I'm going to do in 2023. It's really going to put a fire under your derriere. Next, I want you to commit to reading or learning a set amount of time every day. I have a personal goal to read 20 pages of a book that will help me to get better. Now, this could be a webinar, it could be a podcast, whatever it is for you. I want you to commit to doing it every day. So don't say 8 hours a day. Make it manageable. Like I can read 20 pages in like about 30 minutes. Make it manageable, but commit to learning something new every day. If it ends in Y, I want you to be learning something. All right? And finally, I want you to establish a trusted inner circle and hold each other accountable. So again, your goals, you may say, I'm going to read 20 pages every single day. And you get an accountability partner. And maybe they say, hey, you know what? I'm going to read 20 pages every day. And then what you could do is you can text each other when you have achieved that goal. And you can make it a competition who gets it done faster. But accountability is powerful for you crushing 2023. Now, the last topic I want to talk to you about is when life happens, and life will happen. It's the nature of life. I want you to extend yourself grace. Be kind to yourself. If you have a bad day, if the power goes out, if your car dies, or if a loved one dies or gets sick, you're going to have to adjust. And I don't want you to get down on yourself. If you make a big mistake or a little mistake, be kind to yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Calling yourself names and putting holes in walls and screaming at people and insulting people, that is not going to help you or anybody. So be kind to yourself and make sure you take time to assess the situation. Avoid any knee-jerk reactions. That guy that cut you off on the freeway, I promise you, he did not get up that morning and go, you know what? There's this person, and I'm going to look for their car on the highway. I'm going to cut them off. Okay? We all get mad when they do it, but they're not even thinking about us. So I want you to avoid the knee-jerk reactions when life happens, and it will. I want you to stop, and I want you to look around and assess the situation. Then after you calm down, then you can make decisions on what has to happen next. All right. So these ideas are pretty much guaranteed for you to crush it in 2023 and beyond. Now, I'm not saying if you do these things that you're going to go from making $50,000 a year to $50 million a year. I'm not saying that. No specific results guaranteed as a result of listening to this episode of the Mr. Productivity Podcast. But I'm telling you, if you implement these ideas into your life, I promise you, the odds of you crushing it in 2023 are much higher than if you didn't. Now, I'll leave you with this. If this episode moved you, would you please share it? If you know someone in your life, and you probably do, who needs to hear this episode, would you please share this episode with them? Just say, hey, heard this great episode. It's on this guy's show, the Mr. Productivity Podcast. I really found it valuable, and I think you would too. That would mean the world to me. And then if you want more help from me, MrProductivity.com, MISTER, MrProductivity.com. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Until the next episode, stay productive and stay positive.